Alright, guys, so we will start working towards the next little project, a 25 hours work week in New Zealand for the first time in the world, 10% tax, and 5,000 US dollars base pay. So, yeah, of course, in the first reaction from everybody is going to be like, this is a fluff, this is a scam. But over a period of time, I will prove it to you guys with practical tips that how this is all possible and it's not just the fluff I'm talking about. So 25 hours work week is basically it seems like impossible when you're stuck in a mind which is really tied up with so many responsibilities and is not free to think out of the box, right? If you are having 4 kids, someone having 4 kids, and then they have a business to run, and then they have wife to manage, right? Single mom, single dad, they're so busy with their day-to-day things, and they do not have time to go ahead and think out of the box about think for others, right? They're always busy thinking for themselves so much that they do not have space and bandwidth in the mind to be able to think about something which is for the larger good on a long term basis. Otherwise, if we just like gonna be sheeps walking the same track everybody else has walked before us, if we're gonna be that, then we might as well not be living. We're humans, right? We're precious creatures, and we should be able to kind of create something really good and something new on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, what's the point? Sorry. Oh, it's late. Anyways, so first thing is clarity that too much reliance on something is the loss. If you rely on one job, if you rely on one business, if you rely on one partner, if you rely on one kid, if you rely on this and that for your survival, then we are already on the lose. So first, everybody, individuals, we all as individual, we need to have this clarity that for a single person you don't really need much to survive. I'm in New Zealand, right? So I'm in New Zealand. I get like 500 bucks, which half of the money goes into rent and half of the money goes into like food and stuff. And then I put a little bit money in the business, and I'm doing fine. For 40 years I was making almost more than $5,000, and it wasn't enough. And now $500 a week is enough. Why? Because I just got clarity. There was so much shit I was doing that was not needed. I was spending so much money on supplements, going to gym, only to try to look like others, try to be like others, and I didn't really need that much strength. As a content creator and as a business person, I really did not need to be strong. I just need to be creative and sharp and smart and all the intellectual thing, sexual things. For example, Blackpink is a singer. They're artists, right? Blackpink is a Korean K-pop band, and they're artists and they're singers, like, and they don't have those buff bodies, but they are doing the artist artist work, technical work. These superstars, they do not have these buff bodies. So I was so much sold into the competitive vibe of the strong men. Like, you gotta, as a man, you just have to be strong. No, like, we don't have to be strong really as men. We need to be able to get the job done, right? If I need this money, I should be able to come up with ideas to get that much money. And it's up to me. I could be doing it in a lazy way, or if I could be hustling and doing it in a strong way. If I do it with a good spine, or if I don't do it with a good spine, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of creativity to come up with the money that I need to survival within lawful means, right? And there are so many means. So first of all, it's about gaining the individual clarity and then dropping off what's not needed. Say for an example, there is a family. You got 2 cars, two mortgages and you have a mortgage on house and they're two individuals only, right? So two individual, how much it takes, like, two 250 each, $500 for the rent, and then say $400 for the food, and with that anybody can live. Everything else is just like bullshit, right? You can live with that much, that small amount, and then on the top it's a cherry on the cake. It's a lifestyle, right? But if you start to think and manage your life with little, right, have not many big gigantic desires, and you don't buy into the status quo to buy stuff that's you're not buying for yourself but to show it to somebody else, because society expects that, your friends and family expects you to buy that stuff, you to have that house, that have that car, have certain kind of a lifestyle. If we really gain clarity as individual, all we need is shelter and food, and that's it. With that, when you able to survive with that, you will have so much energy to that opens up to be able to maybe build a business on your own, maybe have two jobs, because you're inside, you're not carrying any load, you know there is no rush for something because you're doing it all from a place of non-attachment. So yeah, so that's it. So that's in as individuals we need to be creative, right? And then we need to know, understand that we have created a good functional world by needing more, having big gigantic desires and stuff. We're fucking it all up, right? It's just people need to be healthy and looking for each other. So people in council, people in politicians, people in corporates, we need to just do things for the humanity, to for others, for each others, not to control, not to take from people, right? So for example, if there is a town hall is created, it's not to, like, take anything from it. Like, we have a big library in Wellington, right? Actually, it's a privilege. They've created such a out of the state library where people are not even matching the standard. People are just fucking low lives over there. Most of the guys are homeless and stuff like that, and it annoys me. People don't take showers for days and come and sit in this library where billions and millions and billions dollars have been spent. I'm talking about the Wellington City Library, the new one. So so these are the things individually we need to have clarity, right? We don't need, and then all these spendings that are happening, we need to really establish strong leaders who can monitor the spending. The primary spending should only be for food and shelter, and that's it. No spending for parks, no spending for bikes, no spending for fucking fountains, building a fucking fence of $7 billion on the beachfront, decorating the city when 79% people are homeless. What's the point of having a big billboard and having a weekly fucking um, celebration at Waitangi Park when 70% of natives in the country, in Maoris native in the country, they don't have homes or on their own, of their own, where they were the natives of the country, right? Somebody come, establish something, and they make money out of it. But those guys were here before that. If somebody comes in here and wants to build a business, they should better be paying back something called royalty. Royalty is like house. Give them the houses, bro. Don't make them work for you. These are native guys. They're tribal people. They have to live the life they want to live, right? So, and then similarly, when we really build leaders that are very sharp and conscious that we have already created a great world, right? We already know as humans how to build and stuff when it's needed, but we don't really have to build stuff. We have to live now, right? So, in Auckland, we have a sky tower, and in Christchurch, we have something else. In Wellington, we have Te Papa. All these things are already built, but it's the human experience where we have to experience more. And by experience more, I mean human connection. We need to have better quality of connection between people. Maoris not fighting with Pakias, Pakias not dominating Maoris, Indians coming here to helping the uplifting of the country, and they're just having the decent respect, like, when they go to the market, just feed them good nice food if they want to buy food and stuff. And similarly, like, expatriates that come from other countries to New Zealand, they shouldn't be like fucking imposing their belief system, like Hinduism and Sikhism and all that stuff. They should not be allowed to practice all those things. If you want to practice them inside a room. Don't come out on the road, because everything is an energy, right? And when you come out on the road, you're already asserting your belief system. And no, Maori kids do not need this. Pakia white kids do not need this. Nobody need it. Nobody need to be demonstrated, or say asserted their belief system when they're coming to a country. If we are coming to New Zealand, we need to respect the culture of how Maoris have brought the country so far, and how white communities have, like, come together to help the land and brought a little bit of advancement in the country. So Maori natives are tribal, whites are advanced. So we gotta mix it up, and we're mixing it well now. So we don't have to really have big, gigantic goals for the cities or nations. We just gotta keep the cities clean, and we need to just see where the money is not needed to be spent. Where do we not have to spend the money? So there was a 7 billion. I'll give one example. There was a lady, it was like $7 billion was was being spent into building a fence by the harbor, because 10 years ago someone killed themselves. So much money goes into parks and cycle lanes and stuff, which is like really not basic. People can travel in the bus. What's important, all this funding should go into all the cutting should go into like a relief fund, or not relief, like a well-being fund. Like, okay, government has a well-being fund. Everybody who is experiencing fatigue, overwhelm, stress at work, they get a bonus of 1000 each for 6 months, because there is a government scheme. And just give them the money. If they're working for 40 hours, government releases this policy. If you're overworked and you're not feeling to your best to work in a job, don't drag yourself to work. You have the option to work less if you can. So a single person who's getting paid, who's working for say 40 hours and getting 5000 paid, a single person who can reduce the work to 25 hours and still get $3000, and if they're okay with that, that is some sort of option that should be available by any employer. Should make those kind of options available, and then we can have the regular 9 to 5 job structure, right? So these are the ideas I have sent you, working towards this 25 hours work week, 10% flat tax with base pay of $5,000. Thank you so much for listening to the talk. And this was the introduction. This was the general conversation and general talk that we're going to dive into. And every time I have a new idea, I'm going to share how the money is being wasted and how that money can be put into one common funding system, which would focus on pumping more money into employments, uh, so that we can hire more people. Those can work few hours. So thank you so much for that, and I will see you in the next one. This was the serious one, and I'm happy that we got this done. Thank you.